Hello, hello, hello. Kim Rowe here with my sweet mother-in-law. This is Eva, and we're going to be playing around with some paint. So as you come on, you have to tell me where you're watching from, and we'll be, if you're watching on a replay, tell me where you're watching from. And if you've ever painted or played with transfers, stamps, paint, all the fun things here. We have a lot of stuff going on here, and I'm in Georgia. I'm in Milledgeville, and I'm just gonna. I want to make sure I share this over here. So as you pop on, I'll just be sharing this quickly. If you didn't hear, I was in California at the IOD retreat, so I came back and I've been excited to play around with some of these things. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. Let me just put this out on the furniture community page. If you haven't been on that page, you should check it out. Hello, hello, who's on here? Okay, I don't know what's going on there, but let's see. Thanks for stopping. Thanks for coming on. We're going to be playing with the Painterly Florals transfer. We're going to be using Rio, Aqua Provence, and Cashmere are the colors of paint we'll be using. And I'll post everything in the link in the comments. But hold on one second. I'm just trying to, I want to share this onto the Farmhouse Paint page. Here we go. Okay, and if you are local to Downingtown, you'll have to keep it on. I think I put a post out today. We're having our big spring festival May 13th, so put it on your calendar. It's from 10 to 5, and it'll be a lot of fun. We will be having all kinds of vendors and some fun things like that. So it's always a great day, especially if the weather is nice. So, oh goodness, hold on one second. I just got to switch one more thing here. It might be me watching. Okay. There we go. Okay. Well, if you are watching us, I have my computer here, so if you have questions, you can always ask the questions, but we're going to get started. So I am going to put my mother-in-law in charge of painting. Hey, she's good at this stuff. She's a crafty person. I'm in Milledgeville, and we've done lots of crafts out on the porch. Today it's a little chilly, so we're going to stay inside. It's a little windy, but I remember dyeing Easter eggs out there. Mm-hmm. I mean, we did probably Christmas crafts. We did all kinds of things. So what we're going to be using, and I'll flip the camera down in a second, but we're going to be using these wood boards from Iron Orchid Designs. When you get them, they come like this with a sticker on it. And basically, you just have to peel that off. They come off very easily, so just peel that off. It doesn't leave any residue or anything like that. Now, you can lightly sand them. I do have some sandpaper here, but they are very smooth, so you don't really need to, sand them or anything. We're going to be using Painterly Floral. We're going to be using the this other really sweet little set called Ephemeral Melange. If you haven't tried this one is a smaller set. So it's a smaller pack. I want to say it's 12 by 6. No, this one's not 12 by 16. This one is 11 by 14, I think, something like that. So this is a smaller set of transfers, smaller pad of paper. It's got a lot of springy things, and there's actually one in there that says May. We're in the month of May, and they're kind of copied from old seed packets and things like that. So we have 2 of this size. These are the small ones. We're going to make like a gallery wall. I have pre-painted a few of them. This one is a 5 by 7. It's hard to see in that picture, but this is Aqua Provence.
Right.
Yeah, and then we have this one, which is Rio. So I painted one coat on that one. We're going to be using the Kindest Regards, which is back in stock. I just ordered more of them, so they should be in probably next week. And I ordered a bunch because this is a very favorite of a lot of people for a background. And then we're going to be using the Sunflower stamp, the Barnwood stamp, and think that's it. We're gonna be using the Copper Pennies from Heaven, which is the DIY paint. If you haven't tried this paint, it's amazing metallic paint. Either the Golden Ticket or the Pennies from Heaven. It's a very, it's actually a patina. It's actually a liquid patina, but it's just got a great metallic look to it. So I actually did a little bit on here as a background, but we'll be doing that in a few minutes. So I got this paint already. We're using cashmere. We're gonna do these two pieces here. So I'm gonna turn my camera down so we can see what we're doing. And there we go. Let me see how that is. I got a new arm for my, there we go. I think that's pretty good for my phone, and I had it shipped here so we could do this. Okay, so I'm gonna give this to you, Mom, and you're gonna just put a coat of paint over top of that, and you can just do a nice thin coat. And you don't have to worry about the sides for now because we'll do that later. But I'll put this aside. So,
is that enough?
Yeah,
Not like
yeah,
that?
yep. Now this is her first time doing this, so if you, oh hey Lori, how are you? Thanks for watching. So this
Yes, my first time. Yeah.
this is my mother-in-law Eva, and she is doing this with. So I'm telling you, this is something that painting is you can't mess it up. You can always just paint over it if you don't like it. So that's what I always tell people. This is a fun project to kind of get started with because it's not really, this is kind of a good basic project to try with. Now we are going to do some layering and things like that, so that's a little bit more involved, but it's really, all of it is just kind of practicing and trying. So yeah, you can just get the edges so that it's not dripping. You don't have to worry about that. And then I'm going to give you this one, and we're going to do that one too. And then we'll let that dry while we move to the other. So this paint is Farmhouse paint. It self-levels. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay.
And then I'll have you do that one. This is cashmere. It's a really creamy, off-white, pretty color. And it has a built-in top coat. So when you're doing pieces like this and you're going to be using transfers, like we're going to be putting transfers on things, you have to have a top coat on your piece before you actually put the transfer on. So if you're using a clay-based paint, then you would put a varnish or something like that after the paint, let it dry, and then put your transfer. So because we're doing kind of multiple steps here, we are using Farmhouse paint. It works great with the transfers. So we're going to let these dry while we move to the next thing here. And yeah, the cashmere is probably one of the most popular colors. Now I'm just going to grab my piece of sandpaper quickly because these just have a little bit of texture to them, and I want to smooth it out a little bit. So I'm going to use, these are the rad pads. They come in a pack of 4, and I'm just literally going to rub it over here quickly, and I'll do it. I think I did this one already. This one I didn't. And especially if you just are doing the first coat, if you do it right before your second coat, it just gives it a really nice smooth finish. So we will add, I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of this on here. These are the FIFO bottles. They're great to keep your paint in. Just to add a little bit over here on this, because there's a couple little areas that I noticed. Now, if you are painting and it doesn't feel like it's going smoothly, because sometimes, the paint may dry out a little bit if you've let it sit, if it's been in its thing and you don't have the top on real good or, something like that. You can use, oh, that's perfect. Use a fine mist spray bottle, and that'll help smooth your paint out too. I always like to put my brush, instead of cleaning it between each thing, I put it in one of these Ziplocs. So I'll take that one for you. And I think we're just gonna go with one coat on these because we're gonna be doing some other things on top of it. So we'll put these to the side. Okay. So while those are drying, we're gonna grab, we're gonna start with this one because we're going to stamp. And if you can see, we did use the sunflower stamp on there with the copper paint pennies from heaven. And we're gonna use, I used this smaller leaf, but I'm thinking we may use this big one too and put it here to kind of, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the transfer over that. So usually I would use my brayer for this, but I didn't pack that with me. So what we're gonna do is use just a little foam brush. And this works fine, you just have to be a little bit more careful as far as putting the paint onto your stamp so that it's not down deep into the crevices. And I'm gonna grab find one of my pieces of plastic here that I can put this on. I didn't bring my thin mount, so I'm just gonna use the backing for this, but we're gonna put that right on here. And I'm just gonna grab some of this from here. And so you just want a little bit on your brush. And like I said, this is gonna be a background, so it really doesn't have to be perfect because you're gonna put your transfer over it. And then we may be adding some other texture to it, you know, in the end anyway. So, so when I use a stamp, I like to line it up with where I'm going to put it. Usually I stand up and I hover over. I may even turn this way, put it about here. And then once you find the right spot, put it down, hold it with one hand and press with the other, and then switch so you can get good contact. Then you can also lift this up to see if you got it. And because this is going to be a background, I'm not worried about making it perfect, but you can just lift it up. And there's,
Nice.
yeah, so it's kind of a fun little, and you can see how the metallic is shimmery. And then what I'm gonna do is, I'm not even gonna put any more paint on this. I'm just gonna go to this side and add it right here. Again, because I don't care if it's not perfect. And it's just adding a little bit in there. And I might just, let me do just a little bit on this corner here to get just a little something over here. So maybe I'll do it like that. Okay, so there we go. So that's gonna be the background of a transfer, okay? So this is Aqua Provence as your base, and then Pennies from Heaven. So we're gonna set that aside while that dries. And let me put my copper away for a second. And we'll go to, let's see. Oh, I know what we can do. Well, this is, we have to wait for that to dry. We'll go to this one. This is just a little guy, and I think what we're gonna do is put a little bit of a transfer on there. So I was thinking of using the little violets from this one. And this is where I'm gonna show you, Mom, how to do this. Okay, so these are transfers. Let me move this out of the way. These are so much fun. So what we're gonna do is, part of it is gonna be with the violets on it. I think maybe I'll pull it down a little bit so it's towards the bottom. And then I saw this one, well, it might even be lavender. I'm not sure if that's violet. No, that is violets. Mm-hmm. There's a little tag on this one it says violets on it. You can kind of see it. So I thought that would be cute together. So we're just gonna cut that out. And this is again from the Ephemeral Millage. They're like all different cute little labels from historic like seed packets and stuff like that. So here's this one. If you can see it, it says violets. I think it's backwards on there. I probably should have switched my camera, but and what we're gonna do is put it on here and then have the violets. Maybe we'll put the violets on first and then this one here. So we're gonna do that, and then we can do a couple little things to give a little background to it. So I'm gonna show you what you do. We'll start with this one. So when you have a transfer, they have a paper on the back, and so you just peel it off. Yeah. See how it peels off? And then you can line it up to where you want it. So I'm gonna let you do it. I'm gonna show you. Just line it up so you want it up and about there. And then you press it down and it'll stick to that spot. So just line it up here. And there we go. And then press it down. And you can just kind of rub it with your hand. And then you're gonna take this little stick and rub it. You can actually get in here and do it kind of hard. Not real hard, but I mean, it's not gonna hurt it. And your mom's on camera, honey. And so what it's gonna do is release the transfer onto the piece. And you can slowly, if you need to, grab a little edge and you'll start to see how it gets kind of like a little bubble under there. You can push it, let me show you, just push it this way. And see how that just releases it off. And then you can just take your piece off. And there it is. And then you just kind of rub it to burnish it on there. So there's the little violets. That's so cute. So I need to switch the camera so it's not backwards, but if you can see that. And then we're going to take, this is from a separate one. This is called Painterly Florals. And we're not going to use that. This is from the, there's like round wreaths of lavender, and then this is in the middle of it. But what we're going to do is, because there's grid lines on here, we'll be able to cut it to exactly where we want it. And I'm thinking maybe here and here. So you can cut from this line down. And let's see, maybe this line here. So you can just cut that. And then we'll put that on here. And then sometimes you can use pieces in other areas, like we could use some of those flowers on another one to kind of pull this all together. Because if you wanted to create a gallery wall for your, you know, this would be really cute in a powder room or something like that. You could hang all these together, you know, on a little wall, and they kind of all coordinate. Okay, so now she's got that, and we'll put that. What you're going to do is you're going to peel that white paper off the back.
Okay. Oh, it's coming apart now. Well.
There you go. And then you're going to line that up to here. And you want to just, before you press it down, just make sure you have it in the right spot, or it'll stick to your fingers and everything else. There you go. That looks. It's okay if it goes off the edge a little bit. There we go. And then you just kind of press it with your hand, and then you're going to use the little tool again. All the transfers come with the little rubbing tool, and you can rub that down. Actually, I might use this one on here, on this side. Let me grab these scissors. This one is pretty dry. So this farmhouse paint dries pretty quickly, and I'm going to put this one on this side here. So then they'll kind of coordinate together. Because I don't like to waste. I keep all these little bits for all kinds of things. And let me grab this little stick. So what I say is, you want to catch the wave, you catch a little bubble, you rub it, and then sometimes I lift a little edge up just to get a little bit of air under there, and then that'll help kind of pull it down. Okay. You need to just grab a little edge here, and then let's get that beginning, and then kind of start it that way. Sometimes that takes a little. That looks great on the cashmere. I like it. Does it come?
Get the edge. Can you pull it on without having to have the bubble? Or
Yeah. You can just pull it up, and as you slowly pull it, you can, you know, rub it too, and it'll release. And if it doesn't release, then just go back, and there you go. And if there's a section that didn't, like this right here, just go back and rub that, and then pull it back up.
Oh, Okay.
See how that works? And then the here, just before you pull the whole thing off, just make sure you have all the little, now you got a bubble there so you can push that up. There you go, push that towards this way. There you go. There you go. Get that. There. And over here. There. That should be it. And lift it up.
Oh,
There,
how
isn't that
pretty.
cute?
That is very pretty.
See? So there's the violets with the violet. Now we could even take a little bohemian orchid color or something like that if we wanted to give a little purple to the edges or maybe a little whitewash over this, but we'll figure out if we want to do something else with that one. So we're gonna have these two
Cute.
kind of next to each other. So I might put something else in there, but we'll figure that out as we go. So we'll put these aside. And see, we still have a little bit here. You never know what you might use it for. So I usually try and keep all my trash separate. All right, so let's see here. Let's do this one. This is the one that I thought about using the Kindest Regards. And this is from the sunflower stamp. This is the medium-sized flower, so it's about the size of my hand. There's one that's even bigger. But I think what we're going to do is stamp this off to the edge. And then using the mask, if you've never tried the masks before, all the stamps come with a set of masks that you can cover that with. Now my question is, do I do this in the copper or do I do it in like a cashmere? I think I might try the cashmere with this one. Well, no, I already have my paint on my brush, so let's just stick with the copper. We won't confuse things here because we don't have all my supplies here. Okay, so we'll put this over here. We're gonna add a little bit of copper to this. I did mix this up beforehand because the metallic paints, you wanna kind of mix them well before you use them so that they're not like, sometimes it separates a little bit, so you wanna make sure that you have it all mixed well. I usually just shake it up. Farmhouse, the Evolution, I don't shake, but the regular Farmhouse you can shake. So, and again, this is just a little foam brush, so just kind of hitting the edges of the stamp. I'm not going to do the whole thing because I'm probably not going to use this bottom part, but just trying to make sure you get a little bit of paint over the whole part that you're gonna stamp. Okay, now, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do this down in the bottom corner here. Yeah, I think this copper is gonna look cool. And about there, so now I just noticed right here on the edge is a little bit, I just don't want it to make a mess on my thing, although, oop, let's see, I just dropped it. Okay, so hover and then commit to where you're gonna put it. Press down. Now when you use the IOD inks, the image is even more crisp than when you use paint, but this is fine for what we're doing. Oh yeah, I like the copper. So we're gonna let that dry because if I put my mask over that now, it's gonna smear it, but we're gonna let that dry for just a little bit. Now if you wanted to, you could use a little hair dryer, something like that, but we're just gonna let that go for now. And then we'll be using the Kindest Regards on that. So we're gonna put that aside. And this one, we're going to use the Barnwood stamp. Now, I originally was gonna use a gray on this, but I think I might just do the copper again to kind of pull it all together. So what we're gonna do is, if you haven't used the Barnwood stamp before, it's a 2-sheet set and it comes with a lot of these pieces. It's like creating a really cool Barnwood technique. In fact, we used this at the Iron Orchid conference. Jonathan Mark Mendez, I don't know if he ends up watching this, because he taught us some really cool techniques with this, which I will be doing more of in the future. But for now, we're just gonna stamp with this. And I like to start with this one because it's got the lines on both sides. And we're gonna put that over here. And I'm gonna probably put this one here. Actually, I'll start with this one because I can line it right up to the edge of my board. And then we'll put this one in, and then we'll end with this one over here. And if I do it in the copper, it's not gonna be very stark. It's gonna be a little bit more of an accent, which is kind of what I'm going for. So, and I'm just going to paint to about down here. I don't have to use the whole thing. And you want your little sponge to not be too much stuff coming off of it, or it's gonna make a mess. Okay, so we're just gonna again apply the paint lightly. This is a great one to do an embossing with, and that's what we did in California. It was really fun. Okay, so now I'm gonna line this up. Again, I like to stand up because I can see better. I should put my glasses on, but I'm gonna line that up right at the edge and then just press it down and lift it up. So it looks kind of funny when you first start, but it's kind of creating this whole look with your stamp. So we're gonna do the same thing on this. And you're just attaching this very slightly, not real, like don't put a lot of pressure, because then you're going to hit the inside of that stamp, and that's not what you want to do. You just want to get the tops of the stamp. Okay. This is another one that I just reordered because we're going to be doing a lot of stuff with this in the next few weeks. Okay, so with this one, because these lines, I'm going to try and line that up right to the edge of where I just stamped, because then it's going to look like it's a plank, and you want it to be somewhat straight, or your planks will be all crooked. So making it look like a, you know, lined up pieces of wood is what I was going for. Okay, and now we'll go to this last one. And same thing, I'm just gonna, this one's gonna go off the edge, so I'm not too worried about it being, again, going off the edge is fine because it's just gonna be a accent behind my sunflowers. Okay. And again, I'm gonna line it up against that line so that it's straight, and then putting that down. And there we go. So it wait till it dries and it'll even look better, but it kind of gives it that look like it's on a piece of barnwood. So we're gonna let that one dry. I'm gonna move these to the side. And I did bring one of my scrubby soaps here, so we're gonna clean those up later. They work great with the stamps. So let me put this over here. Okay. So now let's go to this one back here with our leaf background. Okay, so this is pretty, yeah, it's pretty dry. And we're gonna close up our paint because I think we're done with the Pennies from Heaven. Now, this is another piece from the ephemeral set. I don't know what this one is. It's in French. Looks like some sort of French scenery or something, but that's the one we're going to use. And I thought it would kind of go with the coppery colors. And so this is going to be just in the middle of this. Same thing with our transfers. And what happens is the leaves and stuff are going to show through on the edges, and so it just makes it like a little background of your piece. And the other thing you could do too is, before I stick this down, you could actually even do it like it's like little pieces, like little, I could have one here and then another piece up in here. So it would almost be like little pieces of seed packets just kind of sitting on top of each other. That's how they did it on one of the examples on the back of the pack, and it looked really cute. But I think for this one, we're gonna just put it right here in the middle. Okay. So here's, and this is a bigger one. So sometimes these can take a little bit longer, or sometimes they actually can go quicker because it's all one big transfer. So I like to do that, and then here's where I get the little edge. And see, it didn't release yet. So I'm gonna start there on the edge, trying to get that to release. And then once you get that bubble going, and maybe you can see it, you can actually hear it release. And do it slow, because if you don't do it slow, sometimes it can jump and then it'll leave a little crack. So there it is. Now the other thing you can do with this too is you can take your sandpaper and you can just lightly sand this, and it's going to give it more of a aged look. So it's not as, the colors aren't as bright, and you can kind of make it look just a little bit older. I like to do that sometimes. So we could even add a little glaze around this or whatever. But now what we're going to do too is we're going to top coat these. I will do that later. You don't need to see, that's kind of boring, but basically when you put a transfer on something, you want to top coat it so that it seals it on there, especially on a piece of furniture, because this is just, could be scratched off. But if you put a top coat on it, then it's going to protect it. So we'll probably top coat all of these. But see how cute these will look together? We need to put a little something on that one. So we'll have to see what we want to do with that. We'll put these aside. And let's see here if we can do this one yet, if this is dry. Yep. Okay, so what we did is we put our stamp on there, and if you can see it when I lift it up. This is the mask for it. So the trickiest part of this is really just finding the exact petals and leaves for where you were on your, so it matches up perfectly, and it's going to cover up that stamp. So that we can add another stamp. Now, I forgot I was using this one more time, the brush. So what we're going to do is we're going to stamp Kindest Regards right over top of this. And this is a lot of fun when you do it this way, because it looks like the flower is sitting on top of the letter. So, whoopsie, I just got a little chunk of something in my paint. Okay. So again, I'm going to just use a section of this, and I think I might use, let's see, I think I'll use the top part, because it looks like that's the top of the letter. This actually was a real letter in time from somebody writing to their loved one as they were off to war. I don't know the whole story of it, but there is a whole story for it. Now I got a little bit of smudge in here, so I'm just gonna get that out. But again, this doesn't have to be perfect because it is going to be a background. But I'd say this is one of my favorite stamps. It's really pretty. I use it on the sides of drawers sometimes when I paint a piece of furniture, and when you open the drawer, you just see a little hint of like script wording. Some people may try and read it. I don't think they really can, because it's kind of, especially when I stamp it, but it's more of just a design that you're adding to something. So there we go. Okay. So do you want to try this one, Mom?
Well, what do you do?
Okay, so
You
you don't really have to. I think what I'll do is I'll lay it here, and then you can press down. Let me get it at a straight spot. Okay. So once it's there, hold with one hand, and then press with the other. And then just so it doesn't shift, you know, you keep, that's it. And then just get over here. And what it's doing is it's stamping right onto the mask, so that when you lift the mask up, it doesn't smear up the sunflower. Now you can slowly lift it like this just to see, and it looks like it did it. So we can lift it straight up. Ready? See? So that took the mask off. See how, because if we would have stamped it over that, it would have, all the wording would have gone into that sunflower too. So isn't that cute? I love it. It's so cute. So, and then we'll just clean this mask and we'll clean the. And
So
we'll
you
clean,
don't want the wording to go.
yeah, you want it because it would kind of muddle it all
Muddle
up.
it up.
Yeah, it wouldn't be very clear. So now we'll figure out what we're going to do with this one next. If I want to add something in there, we could, I mean, I have some real sunflowers that you could add in there. We could put even just a couple leaves if we wanted to. The rose would be pretty if we wanted to put a rose. So these are ones I'm going to be using with the barnwood one. So we'll put that aside. We may not even do anything to that. I don't know. It's kind of pretty. This one is still drying. So we'll let that one dry a little bit while we decide what we're doing with our transfers here. So on this one, we're going to create a little scene with the sunflower. I like to lay them out first, so we're going to use the sunflower, the rose, which I'll probably put behind the sunflower. The lavender will come up. There's the scissors. Let me cut this leaf off of here. And one thing I've noticed when I do a class, sometimes people think you have to cut all the way around all this, but it's clear behind there, so you don't have to worry about that. It's just gonna show, you know, what's behind it. So this sunflower is gonna come off the edge, and we're gonna layer these on here. I even like this rose coming up from behind the sunflower. We'll make it like it's like a little bouquet here. And maybe like that and that. And then we can have a couple leaves down here at the bottom coming across. So once you have your design figured out, then you can layer it onto your piece. So if we're doing it this way, we would start with these two first. And then, oh, hello, Royce. Good, thank you for popping on. I did bring one of my stencils, but I didn't bring any of my papers to Georgia, or I would have been doing one of your projects. Anyway, so we're gonna be layering these in the back, and then we'll do this rose, or I don't know if this is a rose. Mom, you're better with flowers. What do you think? Or could it be a rose? Okay. And then the sunflower, and then the leaves. So you start with your background and come forward. So let's just see here. I think it's pretty dry. We're gonna go for it. So we're gonna start with the lavender, and this one I probably could have cut a little bit shorter, but I kind of want it to, let's see. I think I'll angle it this way. So I want it to come right to the edge. So once you figure out where you want it, commit and press it down. Now this one I could cut this edge off eventually, or you could just use your sandpaper and sand the edge. But we'll just do it that way. And we'll release this one here. Now the paint might not be totally dry, but you know how that happens when you're trying to get something done. Now here's an example where it skipped a little bit. Now it didn't mess it up, but sometimes you just have to be careful. If you're pressing it and you have that bubble, it could cause it to separate a little bit too quickly, and then you might have a little crack between the, so just kind of do it slowly. Sometimes I rush too much, but this is going to be covered pretty much by the sunflower at this point down here. So there is,
Pretty.
Isn't that cute? We have a lot of flowers here in Georgia in this yard. There's always, my father-in-law loves to take care of the yard, and he's doing it very well at 94. He was out watering all kinds of stuff this morning. All right, so we're going to put this rose in next, and we're going to kind of have it come down. I don't like them to be even, so we're going to have that come down, and I'll cut this one actually. It's about here. All right, Mom, I'll let you do this one.
Okay.
So let's pull this off, and let's put that one at about, let's try that about there. You can press it down a little bit if you want. And so these are The Painterly Florals, I believe these might have been Alexi Grenzer artwork. Am I right, Royce? If you're still watching, I'm not sure, but she is. I did get to meet her along with Royce in California, and it was some highlights of my trip, getting to meet people and giving them hugs after being on calls with these people and seeing them for years. But that was a lot of fun. There you go. Now you can. Where's my little stick? Yeah, see if that'll pull up a little bit. There you go. Now you can push that bubble. There you go. You can hear a little crackle sometimes. There it goes. This is the first time that she's doing transfers, so it was nice to meet you too, Royce. That was a highlight. There we go. Good. All right. Maybe just get that one little edge right there. Yeah. There. I think it might. Maybe it got it. You can try and lift it. Oh. We can't get the edge. Here, let me get this right here. Down there is. There we go. There we go. All right.
Okay.
So there's a little rosebud. Yeah. Now this is where you can get creative, because then you start layering these, and you figure out. Sometimes I like to take this off, and you can kind of get an idea by hovering over where you're going to be. Even though this is out here in the middle, this one is going to come in and it's going to kind of cover that back part. So that's okay that it's out here in the middle of nowhere, because there's no base. Although there are stems if you really want to add stems and all that, but this one we're just going to layer, so it's not going to be necessary to have the stem on this one. The sunflower is going to cover this. So don't be afraid to layer your transfers. It's a lot of fun to create scenes with them and stuff like that. Okay, and then we're going to add the sunflower. Again, I'm gonna hover over and make sure I'm covering that part, but I want it to also cover the corner here. So let's see, I can twist it, turn it, maybe at about there. And I can also put a leaf down here actually, so I'm not gonna worry as much about the bottom here as I am. Okay. You can hear the grandfather clock in the background. Oh, thank you. Yeah, the barnwood I used with the pennies from heaven. Yeah. And of course, I got a little inspiration as we worked together in California, right, with the barnwood. But yeah, if you can hear the clock in the background, there's all kinds of clocks here. And I remember when I first came here, I had to have them turn it off at night because it would keep me up. But now I don't even hear them anymore because I'm so used to all the chimes. Okay, now I'm gonna cut this because it'll just be easier. And I probably could have used it in somewhere else, but we can put them aside. And let's see. So again, here I'm going to lift this up, and it's not totally released, so I'm going to put it back down and get that edge. And then I like to work from one edge instead of from the middle. It just helps with releasing these. If you are in the Downingtown area and you happen to be watching this, we're going to be, I'm going to be doing some paint demos, and we're going to be doing a make and take at Downingtown Vintage on the 13th for our spring festival. And so you can actually come and try this. Now I'm burnishing it with the piece that just released, and it just helps make sure that there's no bubbles or anything like that, and it gives it a nice smooth surface. So now I think I might just put a little edge of a leaf on there. Maybe go up the edge here. Maybe I'll use this tiny one because I really don't need much. And you don't necessarily have to have anything there, but I just kind of don't want that floating in the middle of nothingness. There we go, like that. So let's see. You can also wrap these, so I could have wrapped it around the edge, which might have been kind of cool. As I was, you know, from the sides you'd see it. So maybe I will do that, but there we go. So yeah, the barnwood, it's cool because it's got that iridescent kind of shimmery look behind the flowers. So that is cool. I really like that. Isn't that cool?
It is.
Okay, so let's put our things together here. And we don't necessarily have to have these all together, but I just thought it would be kind of fun to have a theme going. So we have, and this one is hard to see, but this one is the kindest regards with the sunflower. And what I was thinking is kind of making these like this, and then maybe you'd have that there, and then these two here. What I'll do is I'll get a good picture of them when they're all done. And I think because these three have copper, I think I want to add a little copper into these too. Whether it's just a little bit of dry brushing. Let me just show you that quickly. With a little chip brush, you can take, this might be all it needs. I just take a little bit from the cap, get a little bit, oh, I just wiped it right on the transfer. It's okay, it came off. Yeah, it's probably not good to work over top of your work that you just did. So just get a little bit, and then I'm gonna dab it. I have a paper plate here that I'm going to just offload it so that there's barely anything on there. And then I'm gonna take, I feel like this one I still need a little something in there. Maybe I'll use a little, another little label there. So this one I think I may just add a little bit, because it's just going to pull that copper theme that we had going with the other ones and pull it all together. So there it is. Now I could dry brush through the whole thing, but I think that's all it needs. In fact, I might do it on this too, just to kind of accent the edge. And again, I didn't even reload this brush. It still has the original, hardly any paint on it, but when you're doing it over something like this, it just gives, this one doesn't need it, but I felt like that one did. Let me look at this one more time and let's just see if there's one more. Oh, actually, that one would be cute because of the turquoise in there, but let's see. We'll go for one more little, we're going to use this packet again and see if I can find just a small little something to put on the edge there. Even if you cut, oh, this one might be cute. Here we go. Just a tiny little circle. So this is in this pack and it's just a tiny little circle and it's got a little blue. Let me see if there's another circle one that would work too. Nope, I think that might be the only one. All right. So I think that'll work, and I'll just give a little bit of a something else to that one. If you haven't tried the envelopes by IOD, I thought I was buying 18 of them. I bought 18 3-packs, so I have a bunch of them. But I use them for my stamps with this. When you have 2 sets of stamps and you have all the masks and everything together, it really helps you keep organized, which is not always my strong suit, although my husband would love it to be. And also all your little bits of pieces are great to put in those envelopes. You like the light blue on the purple. Yes, it did turn out good. This is actually called Aqua Provence. And yeah, the purple turned out really nice on there. So let's try this one. I'm thinking maybe just down in here. So it'll look like almost like a little advertisement for the seed packet. I don't even know what this says on it. Let's see. Oh, it's for little pills from London. So we'll just put that down here on the edge. just like, and I know Royce, you love all your wording and all your, I forget the word that you use, but all the labels and stuff like that. I know that's your thing. So this is right up your alley. Okay, so there we go. That's it. And it just added a little something to it, right? And then we'll just take our little bit of copper. I think I need a little bit because it probably dried up a little bit. Now I'll paint the sides of these too because we didn't do that earlier, but if you haven't tried dry brushing, you really, it's a lot of fun. I got a little thing on there, but it just is a great way to accent. Now I could go through and do that. I just feel like this one might need a little bit of something. Let's just try it. And as it, like a little hash back and forth. So when it dries, it'll dry a little bit darker and look more metallic. So, and you can always dab if you want it to be not as noticeable right there, like that. So that is it. Thank you for joining me and my mother-in-law from Georgia. We turn this back up so you can see us. If you just joined us or if you're watching on the replay.
It was fun.
Did you have fun?
It was fun.
Okay, good. It wasn't too stressful.
No, learned quite a bit. A whole lot.
That's good. Well, I thought you would enjoy it. She's been a crafty person most of your life.
Well, most of it. I don't do much now, but this is all very pretty.
Isn't it
I
fun?
believe I like that
Yeah.
one.
Now let's put this one back over here so you can
Yeah.
see.
I like that one.
Yeah.
This was pretty.
Yeah, and it's funny because as you do the barnwood, it doesn't look really great as you do it, but then when it all comes together. In fact, if you're watching and we did a tray with the barnwood, and I think we actually used the ferns. So we put the barnwood on the background and then the ferns transfer and then put handles on it. That's a fun class. So yes, I'll be taking pictures of all this, and thank you for watching us. Thanks, Royce. Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend ahead. And I'll be heading to Florida on Sunday for my son's graduation, so I may not be live until next week. So have a wonderful day and enjoy the spring. Bye-bye.
Bye.